Welcome back to the United Pubcast. Manchester United 0, Brighton 1. I would say a disaster. I was about maybe 3 or 4 minutes away from saying that was a very well-deserved point away at Brighton, and I'll very happily sort of take that. As I said before the game, we probably expected a loss, potentially a draw, but very happy with the draw. And the performance, I think we'll get into football as a neutral and sort of the Premier League football as an advert, and I thought it was a great game of football, and you'd say while Brighton were the better team, you could say Manchester United in terms of what they sort of did. He probably deserved a draw at the end in regards to the way they did defend. Ultimately, in injury time, thrown it away. Look, I'm not going to go over the top in criticism of Luke Shaw for the handball. I believe it was Luke Shaw. It might have been Victor Lindelof. Obviously, my head was all over the shop at the time. But look, it's one of those things. It happens sometimes, those handballs. He definitely hasn't done it on purpose, but ultimately his hand is in a stupid position. And the deserved penalty, and I think Brighton did deserve to win it. While I thought it was quite an even game, we can't have any complaints in and around the result. Brighton were the better team. What can you do? Well, what can we do? Manchester United can be better. That's what we can do. But we all sort of predicted this before the game. Brighton were obviously going to bounce back after that FA Cup semi-final. And look, ultimately it's a tricky one because we're so close to saying, obviously we're going to be disappointed not getting a win. Whenever Manchester United play for a game of football, you do want to win. But when that sort of happens, you think, okay, it's maybe not our day. Let's take a point, and that would be a very sort of positive point in the direction of sort of qualifying for top four and sort of extending that gap over Liverpool. Ultimately, we haven't extended the gap over Liverpool. Still in our hands, of course, and there's no sort of room for panic. But a tricky one. It was so close to sort of, okay, dust yourself off and move on. Now it's a pressure game on the weekend. I believe it's away at West Ham. Is it? I'm not sure. Correct me in the comments. I don't know the fixtures in front of me. I do believe it's West Ham this weekend. So important game, and that's good. Obviously, it's good when you do have big games to look forward to, but a tricky one for Manchester United to deal with. So I believe Larry might be with me. I'm not sure. He might come back on Friday night. I'm not sure. Fingers crossed he can jump on the stream. We'll see what happens. But Box, I don't share your enthusiasm, but yeah, maybe sometimes all you can do is laugh. Only a point lost. Yeah, look, it's not a disastrous point. Like, it just feels a disaster in my opinion in terms of it was so close to such a positive point. Now only 1 point compared to 0 loss. 0 points for a loss. You think, okay, it's mathematically huge, but just in regards to the feeling, I thought that would have been a very positive point taken away from Brighton. Now ultimately you go away with the defeat. Again, probably a deserved defeat, but I think it also would have been a deserved draw, if you know what I mean. So Box sees a lot of draws coming. I see in the chat. George, good to see you as always. So do let me know your thoughts on the match. And ultimately, it was so close to having a very good discussion about Aaron Wan-Bissaka and MITOMA, which I'm sure we can still have. But I think the game almost deserved that to be a draw in regards to that individual battle. I think that's where the game was played. And I thought Aaron Wan-Bissaka was, okay, on the ball, Aaron Wan-Bissaka was what he was. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but defensively, I thought he's been sometimes a little bit of heartbreak, sort of gave you a little bit of heartburn in terms of the amount of space he was given MITOMA, but he knew exactly what he was doing because MITOMA never got the better of him. So sometimes it looked a little bit weird how Aaron Wan-Bissaka was shaping up, but obviously sort of has studied MITOMA quite well, and he's obviously got all the physical capabilities and traits to deal with the player when he goes past. So Aaron Wan-Bissaka will get in the 3-2-1s in a little bit. Unfortunately for him, and or for all the players, but especially he didn't deserve to be on the losing side. But that is football. It's obviously a team game. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka's performance was borderline brilliant, in my opinion. And MITOMA, I thought, played well. It was just a case of when two players do play well, one's got to come out on top. And I think Aaron Wan-Bissaka did that today. So we'll go through some individual performances, get your thoughts in on everyone's performances, your 3-2-1s, etc., and any talking points. The first talking point I do want to start on, as I said, hopefully Larry does join in and get his opinion as well. But Brighton were the better team. Okay, Brighton deserved to win. Definitely not. It didn't have an impact on how the match was played. The referee in the first half, there was a decision. They didn't even show a replay. I think they showed maybe one replay. Didn't go to VAR. Although the commentators didn't allude the match. The incident didn't go to VAR. But Anthony Martial had a shot. I think the ball pinged into Martial. He played a 1-2 with Fred. Fred played him into the box. Martial had a shot and was cleaned up from behind. Clear foul, clear yellow card. It is never given. I don't know why. Answer me in the chat why this always happens in regards to if that is on halfway and a player plays a pass and then someone comes in with a slide tackle when the ball's 2 seconds gone. It's a clear foul, clear yellow card. We move on. No one bats an eyelid from either team. Suddenly in the box, if someone has a shot and the ball goes 2 or 3 seconds and someone comes in for a sliding tackle, it's not even looked at. It was a clear penalty, clear yellow card. And again, Brighton deserved to win. It's not blaming the referee or how the game unfolded. But ultimately, if we do get a penalty in that first half and we go 1-0, it is a different game. Larry could be in here with us. I see you, Matty. Obviously, unfortunately, I don't want to say take great joy out of Bruno's performance, but with my captain brigade playing hide and seek, Bruno actually played quite well today. Obviously, as I said, Brighton should have had a lot of yellow cards in terms of the way they were kicking Bruno Fernandes off the pitch. Bruno, I don't think had the impact on the game, but obviously in terms of the midfield, was probably Fred was obviously woeful. Casemiro was good, but obviously sloppy at times. I thought Bruno was the best at that midfield, but ultimately, some people. Larry, good to see you, mate. You are alive?
I am, barely. What a game.
Yeah, no, very good. Thanks for jumping on. Everyone misses you, and good to have to chat with someone finally. But good game. Doesn't have a good feeling.
Luke Shaw was a shoo-in for 3-2-1s. That's my spoiler. He was a shoo-in for 3-2-1s. And then he decided he wanted to play volleyball instead of football. I don't know what he was thinking, honestly.
It happens. It happens so often though. Like Luke Shaw or Brighton player or Arsenal. There's always a defender.
How's his hand end up here? Like he has to know what he's doing. His hand is
that's
up
a natural. Yeah, but I'm not. Look, it's a deserved handball, of course, but that's it happens to every defender. Thiago Silva, Sergio Ramos, Rafael Varane. They all do those handballs. It's just a natural. It's unfortunate.
It's such a shame because he was having an unbelievable game, like comfortably the best player on the pitch. The blocks he was making,
second best.
His ball movement. Who was the best for you?
Did you see the guy playing at right back?
I mean, yeah. I thought in the second half, he started to drop off a little bit, and
it wasn't a faultless performance.
Started to get the better of him. No, WAN-BISSAKA was really good, and look, I think is it MITOMA? Is that how you say his name?
MITOMA.
Sorry. Mitoma's a hell of a player. I gotta say, he's a good footballer. I think a big club will come in for him in the summer. He's too good for Brighton, with all due respect.
Well, I've been saying the last couple of weeks that McAllister, I can see him in a red shirt, and I was alluding to the Manchester side of the red things, but it does look like he's potentially close to joining Liverpool. So McAllister, look, if Manchester United would buy to McAllister, you'd think it'd probably cost 60, 70 million. Not that he's worth that, but that's what Manchester United would be charged. I'm not sure what the price is to Liverpool. You'd assume probably around 30 or 40 million, which is just unfortunately the sign of the times and how we've done business in recent years. But, okay, so take McAllister off the table, then you've got Casido and... Sorry, mate?
Sorry to interrupt you, but you know what I like about McAllister? He's got a bit of character about him. Like, he's a bastard. And I think like he's one of those players where when he's not on your team, you're quite frustrated by it. But if he's on your team, you're definitely a fan. And I think if you can bring him into United... Thing is he an upgrade on anyone we have? In terms of our starting 11, is he an upgrade? I'm not sure. That's the problem. Now, if he's a squad player, I think he absolutely elevates the level. I thought Fred today kind of killed things. I thought his energy was good, but on the ball, Fred was awful. I hate going in on Fred because I know he tries hard, but you just saw it. Like we were playing out from the back in the second half there, and we did really well. And then the ball gets to Fred, and he boots it out. I'm like, what's going on, mate? He's
struggled in recent weeks, unfortunately. And look, he does provide energy, which is sometimes needed, and we do need to rotate the midfield and rotate the squad. So I'm not going to lose any sleep over Fred's inclusion, but ultimately, when you do include Fred,
ladies and gentlemen, so bear with me while I get my microphone in.
But when you do include Fred, obviously it is going to come at a cost, and that cost is going to sort of increase the chances of the other team winning. Unfortunately, again, we do need to play him at times. That's where you obviously do want to improve the squad. But back to front, David De Gea, not the greatest game. We didn't have a bad game with his feet, but he is what he is with his feet at times, especially against probably the best team in the league in terms of pressing. So I'm not going to sort of focus on David De Gea's performance with the ball. He's fine, but he wasn't Edison or Allison. But big saves.
Yeah, that's David De Gea in a nutshell, isn't it, Tom? You can talk about all-round goalkeeping, etc. In terms of shot stopping, there's no one better, and there's no one else you want in net. When you're talking about pure shot, let me tell you this: if that was Allison or Edison in goals today, do United walk? Remove the penalty up until the 94th minute. If that was any other goalkeeper in the Premier League, does it stay a draw? I think Brighton score. That's the difference. Like David De Gea, he's had some clangers this season. I believe we've conceded 5 goals directly from his mistakes. But he's absolutely saved more than the 5 goals he's let in. And that's the thing. Like, when you're talking about Ten Hag evolving this football side, David De Gea is a player where you can say, yep, we can absolutely improve on him, but he's not it's not immediate that he needs to be replaced. I think you can absolutely get away with De Gea.
No, it's just one of those things. Unfortunately, people don't want to accept this in terms of Manchester. The next goalkeeper we bring in, even if he's messy on the ball, the next goalkeeper we bring in, as good as he is, will fail. The first thing he'll do on opening day of the season is let it through his legs. That'll be, unfortunately, the case. Obviously, he'll have our full support. But the next goalkeeper will fail, just like Manchester City when they replaced Joe Hart. They brought Claudio Bravo in, great with the ball, disaster between the sticks. So Manchester United do need to be very careful in regards to when they do decide to replace David De Gea, the preparation to understand what's going to happen. Yes, we might play a little bit of better football. We're going to concede a lot more goals in regards to when the other team's shooting at goal. And that is that fine balance you do need to find. Sometimes you might need to take that sort of gamble and take that risk and sort of take it on the chin to move forward. But ultimately, in a results-based business, that's where Eric Ten Hag's hands are tied.
It's a difficult one. Like, I agree with what you're saying in principle, but I think with a more technical goalkeeper, United probably keep a bit more possession. So if you're keeping more of the ball, then perhaps you don't concede as many shots on goal. So it's, it's one of those, like, at the end of the day, whenever you choose a certain type of player or a certain style of play, it's about risk versus reward. The reward might be high, but also the risk might be high. I got to say, look, I'm always for a civil chat in here, and most comments are sensible. Andrew and Tad Bakes, I don't know whether you're both feeling emotional today or what's going on, but to suggest that this squad does not deserve Champions League, sorry, lads, come on. It's a poor result, but it was one where if you set a draw at Brighton, that's a good result. That's a good result. And at the end of the day, we lost it in the 95th minute. Like, this squad's been unbelievable. Let's not take away. Last season's squad didn't deserve Champions League. But at the end of the day, the ladder doesn't lie. And over a 38-game season, you will end where you deserve to end. And at the end of the day, United are in top 4, and I think we will finish top 4.
Looking at the table now, look, it's still in our hands, obviously, and a couple of wins will get us there. But obviously, Liverpool are in good form. You assume now Liverpool, just in terms of the pressure and this time of the season, they will win every game remaining this season. So I think we still need 3 wins, I believe, to get enough to get over the line. Liverpool are applying that pressure. I don't think Brighton, I think they're a little bit too far behind. Spurs are Spurs, so they obviously won't be in the race. But tricky one now in regards to that top 4, because a win today would have been just huge. It would have just said, okay, win against West Ham and Fulham, and you're in the top 4. That's not the case now. So while confidence is still there, we don't need to be looking over our shoulder, but we have to now.
I think a draw would have been a good result. I mean, let's not take away from Brighton. Like, they're a good football team. They really are. And they've gotten some big results against other big teams this season. So, I don't think we're right to say we deserve, or we had to get the 3 points today. Like, Brighton are a difficult football team. Every time we verse them, it's a difficult game. So, like, sometimes you just got to, like, there was a few seasons ago where Wolves just had Manchester United's number. And Brighton have almost replaced what Wolves were. But it's a styles fight. You know how they say, like, Tom, you're a USV fan, styles make fights. Brighton at the moment, because United are in this, like, they want to press, but they're not quite capable of doing it. And they want to play out from the back, but they don't have all the players capable of doing it. Because United are in that transition of trying to solidify their identity, Brighton got their identity down pat. And they've just got the perfect prototype or the perfect answer to United's questions. I dare say if United get the players that they want, you'll find that Brighton pressing against us won't be as successful. And that's simply addressed by improving the caliber of player in that team. You replace Fred with Frankie de Jong. It's a different game. You know what I mean? Yeah. And of course, like, you could apply that principle to all teams. But in essence, United will buy better players. And when we buy those better players, the football we play will be better. So I think we just need to take this result with a grain of salt. This isn't the end of the world. Like you said, top 4 is absolutely in United's hands. But what I will say is, West Ham is a 3 points game. That needs to be 3 points. That cannot be a draw. United have to beat West Ham, because if we draw or even manage to lose, Liverpool with their momentum could absolutely kick United out. I think Newcastle will finish top 3 now. They're flying.
Yeah.
I think 4th is ours. I think we have to finish in 4th position, and we got to beat West Ham.
Definitely. The thing that worries me about West Ham, I have a feeling, just a hunch, will be in our green kit, which obviously doesn't fill me with much joy. The box with a shout here in regards to, look, a lot of tongue-in-cheek, find some humour where we can. 1-0 away at Brighton is actually one of our better away results against some of the big teams. And in regards to performance as well, you compare it to what we have dished up away from home. If you want a glass half full, there's your caveat there. And SJ, good to see. Our home form should get us over. You'd hope. And look, a lot of people, Andrew, there will buckle. I hope not. So again, in frustration after a game like this, I can understand the anger and frustration towards the team. This team's done very well this season. Obviously, we're not the finished article, so you were at the start of the season or throughout the season, we know results like this are going to come. Even after wins, we say, "Oh, yeah, but we'll do this eventually. We'll lose here, we'll draw there, we'll drop points here." When it comes, well, if it's expected, we shouldn't lose our shit when it happens. So we need to be prepared for this. And look, it's definitely not taking away the frustration and emotion towards it, of course, but. It's just a disastrous feel to the end of the match, but ultimately, in regards to our position, it's still in our hands now. We might be having a different discussion in 2 or 3 weeks' time. Let's hope Erik ten Hag and the players fix up and put it right, because that is part of whatever journey, whether football or whatever. You have to sort of accept and sort of prepare for these sort of setbacks. The biggest and most important part is bouncing back when it does come. And what Erik ten Hag has shown this season, when there is a blip or a little bit of a downfall, he does fix it.
Absolutely. And you stole the words out of my mouth, mate. At the end of the day, every time I don't think United have lost back-to-back games this season. Outside the first 2 games of the season.
I think that goes in the point here, Ted, saying not emotional, just seeing the same thing happen for too many seasons with the same players. I believe this season has been far better than recent seasons. I believe this season under Erik ten Hag is different. Agree.
And look, let's address the elephant in the room. After United beat Barcelona, our season has dipped off a little bit. I'm not going to deny that. I think that there is an element in these players' egos, and I'm not saying I don't think it's a conscious thing. I think it's a subconscious thing, where they've beat Barcelona. You've beaten the best team in La Liga this season, and I feel like they feel some of these players think that their season ended there. It feels like that a little bit. We just haven't played the same football since.
It's also off the back, around that time, we all knew that around Barcelona, all those fixtures back-to-back, we're playing every couple of days. We said it's going to tail off. Now suddenly it is tailing off. Well, we all predicted it. And it's one of those ones where it's a tricky one. But there's another comment here I want to bring up from George before we get into 3-2-1s. You can throw Fred into this discussion because Fred has shown these traits since his time at Manchester United. Our Brazilians, we're going to talk about Casemiro needs to keep his cool. Casemiro, Anthony, and again, you throw Fred in there if you want. In regards to Brazilians,
today, Casemiro, he easily could have had another red
card. And Anthony, it's a red card by him. Not that it deserved a red card, but you couldn't have any complaints if he gets sent off for that kick.
It was across the shin.
It's deliberate. It's not an attempt at the ball. He kicks at a player. He doesn't kick at the ball. So ultimately, if that's away from the ball and the same action, it's a red card. So he's very lucky.
Yeah, I get it. And this is where I come back to. I like the characters. And again, look at the players getting into the thick of things. It's the players that Ten Hag has bought. He's bought characters. He's not just bought footballers. Like Casemiro, character. Anthony, character. I like Anthony. Like Lewis Dunk. Come on, mate. You got a whole foot taller than him and you're staunching up to Anthony. Like, get out of here. You think you're a real man? And Anthony didn't take a back step, did he? Just shoulder bumped him. And then Fred with the tackle on his own player. You know what? I got to say credit to Fred there. It was a smart thing to do. He pulled his player away from getting in trouble. So good move. But
definitely. I think Ted makes a point here, which I do agree with, and not so much in that instance, just in terms of the feeling around the game in general. I do agree with Ted here saying I think the red cards are playing on Casemiro's mind in regards to I think he feels whatever I do, I'm potentially going to get sent out, and that's sort of taken away from his game a little bit.
I don't think so, mate. He's going in at tackles like he doesn't.
He's still maybe once or twice going in, but I just think sometimes he's usually done that 10 times a game, or sometimes if it's a 64 to the opposition and he's the 40, he'll still go in and try and win it. And now he's only going in if it's 50-50.
Yeah. I don't know. I think he's been better the last 2 games, Casemiro, I must say. And I thought he came up with some really crucial blocks today. I think United without Eriksen on the pitch just don't really look capable of progressing the ball well. That really, does that worry you at all? I feel like unless Bruno plays deeper, but then you lose what Bruno offers you further up the pitch. But when Eriksen doesn't play, there's just United really need a player who can get a ball off the back 4 and just progress the ball better.
Yeah, no,
I like Casemiro, but he's not that player.
I thought this game called for, again, very easy in hindsight. I would have called for Sabitzer over Fred in regards to that type of role in terms of defensive energy point of view. But in regards to getting on the ball, I think we did miss Ericsson, especially when you compare it, unfortunately, to what Fred offers. But George, is Garnacho fit? Garnacho looks like he's in and around training, or is Donny coming? Donny will still be a few months, unfortunately, of the ACL surgery. So
Donny, does anyone know what he actually injured? Like, they never told us. They just kept it quiet.
My hunch was ACL. It could have been a broken leg, but I think it was ACL. Actually, no, it would have been ACL sore throughout the week. They released a behind-the-scenes footage of him at Carrington, and definitely had the scars of a ACL surgery. So, Donny van der Beek won't be until well into next season, unfortunately. Lisandro Martinez looks the recovery is going well, but he'll still be out until next season. But it does look like Rafael Varane comes back quite soon, Larry.
Yeah, and that will be timely because I think if you can move Luke Shaw back to left back, where obviously his best position, and I put Varane and Lindelof there in the defense, I think United will be in good stead. And I think that's a very solid defensive partnership that can see us through. And we need it, If Varane can make himself available before the end of the Premier League, I think we could absolutely do with some experience and calmness at the back there. Even with Lindelof and Shaw, I guess I'll ask you the question, Tom. You can't, do you feel 100% confident? I think you're looking at them as they're doing a good job for backups, but they're not filling you with absolute confidence. Like Shaw's been doing well.
I think it's where we've felt. Hey? Yeah, I think that's our sort of initial emotion towards this group of players. Good. Okay, we just need a little bit better, and those good can become good on the bench. I think when we've had to rely on these players for so many years, and that where they consistently got us, they got us to fourth, maybe sixth, maybe seventh on the ladder, maybe a semi-final. Okay, that's good, but to make that next step, we need a little bit better than good. So I think we know this about these players, and it's going to take time to fix or to address. But George here, Donny said he's coming back soon. I think that's just lost in translation. I'll be back soon. It'll still be a while. Donny van der Beek. But front three, Petrus brings up a point. Rashford is so selfish, not worth a new contract. Well, I think this season he does deserve the contract. But Bruno, Martial, Fred, hopeless. Eric Ten Hag is always cheap. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't disagree more. Sorry, Petrus. Don't agree at all. But obviously entitled to your opinion. But Rashford in the front three, I don't think he had a good game, but it was where something was going to happen.
Yeah, he's so dangerous. I'd like to see United use Martial on the left a little bit more. He had a moment in the second half where he beat a player with such different players.
This goes back to the debate. Here we are again. Martial doesn't score.
He's a striker. Don't get me wrong. No. I want to make clear. I think he's a number 9. But I want to see more fluidity between those two because I think Rashford is definitely capable of scoring goals centrally, which we've seen this season. But I think it would just cause a bit of a question mark in the defender's mind because Rashford's obviously dangerous, but he's dangerous because he's so zappy in terms of his pace. If you rotate throughout the game and you're a fullback who's conditioned yourself to back off, and then you put Martial there for 10 minutes in a game, you back off Martial, he'll beat you because he's just got quick feet. So I think I just would like to see it be a bit more fluid because I think if you have moments in the game where you can do that with Martial, then I think that makes United a more dangerous opposition. But
who gives the better show and who gives the better display? Wan-Bissaka versus Mitoma or Wan-Bissaka versus Rashford?
Ooh, that'd be interesting. I think Mitoma is
not that I want to see it. I don't have any great desire to see it.
I think Wan-Bissaka would handle Rashford.
I mean, fingers crossed we don't get to see it. Hopefully they stay as far away on the pitch as possible.
What's your answer to that?
Yeah, my opinion will change every day. I think Rashford, obviously, in terms of the way he plays, I think would get into more dangerous positions against Wan-Bissaka in terms of, there's only if Wan-Bissaka just tries to stretch and doesn't quite get it, he's obviously gone, so Rashford's then past him. But I think Mitoma obviously has that intelligence and creativity in regards to giving one or two other problems to Wan-Bissaka. I think, you put Mitoma in a very good team in terms of link-up play around Wan-Bissaka, maybe a little bit more dangerous, but 1v1, I'd probably fancy Rashford.
If United want to buy him, I wouldn't have any qualms saying. Hell of a player, man. I like him. Yeah. He's a player.
No, very good. But my only concern.
the Paraguayan guy. He pissed me off. I wanted to belt him, but he's a player too. Cisco?
No, that's a very good player. A few names there, and obviously Evan Ferguson signed a new contract, but obviously Danny Welbeck, I thought, had a solid enough game, and obviously not claiming for him to come back, but obviously a very good team, Brighton, very good club.
Would you take Danny Welbeck as a backup? I would. I actually would. I really would.
Oh, of course, you'd take him over Weghorst, of course, not just for the Manchester United bias, but just in terms of his traits. Obviously, that's a no-brainer. You'd obviously it's not a possibility. But Weghorst came on, and he won a header today, Weghorst, which I was surprised. I kind of gave it a little bit of a cheer. But
Tad Bates. Yeah, agree. Couldn't agree more. Smashing it.
My only concern with the Mitoma is I've seen Mkhitaryan be brilliant, and Mkhitaryan was actually very good at United. Just it didn't work out for whatever reason. I've seen so many of these great players come to Manchester United and just think, maybe not at Man United. And that's not to say Mitoma wouldn't be brilliant at a big club. Just seen it so many times before where they do come to United and they sign that big contract and their mindset changes, the environment changes, and that's not to say it wouldn't happen, but just who knows.
Yeah, but the example you've used, like Mkhitaryan was good for United. I think under a different manager, this is the Jose syndrome, right? If Jose likes you, no problem. But if Jose decides he doesn't like you, you're done for. And I think Mkhitaryan was just a victim of that. I mean, let's put it this way, Tom. If Jose stuck around, Luke Shaw wouldn't be at Manchester United anymore. And I think what you've seen Luke Shaw evolve into over the last 3 or 4 seasons, I mean, he had a poor season last season, but who didn't? Outside of that, I think over the last 3 seasons, Luke Shaw's been really good. And I think there's definitely an argument to say he's the best fullback in the league, or best left back in the league at least. So, you can't. Mkhitaryan under a different manager maybe has a bit more luck. In terms of Mitoma, I think he's a bit more direct, a bit more pacey than Mkhitaryan was. And he's proven it in the Premier League now. So it's 1 season, which is a very valid point. Let's see what happens. Maybe it's 1 season too soon for him to move on. But look, if he was a backup to Rashford, quality player to bring in.
Definitely. Well, we'll get into 3-2-1s. If you're in the chat, please do leave a like on the video. Over 20 views in the live chat, so get those likes. That'll be very much appreciated. Now, 3-2-1s, Larry, you did mention in terms of, take away the handball. We're looking at Luke Shaw's performance. I thought Victor Lindelof had a solid performance. David De Gea with some match-winning saves. For me, unfortunately, it didn't result in a clean sheet, but it has to be WAN-BISSAKA. Just in regards to, as a neutral, and which I'm not a neutral, and the furthest thing from it, I'm sure at any neutral watching at home, I did have a scroll through Twitter at halftime and a little bit through some of the injuries in that second half. And I did have a scroll through Twitter, and everyone, there was just memes and photos going around about Mitoma versus Aaron WAN-BISSAKA. I thought we can't sort of go back and enjoy it now for what it was. I think if we could, you could go back and watch. Look, it wasn't Keane Vieira or something like that. It wasn't a battle in that context. But in regards to a football in battle, I thought it was brilliant. And ultimately, you'd have to say, not collectively as a team, but individually, the stats would say WAN-BISSAKA won that battle.
Yeah, and in terms of WAN-BISSAKA's performance, could he have done more to push United over the line? And the answer is no. I think going forward, he's improved a lot. I think his first touch has improved a lot, and he's better at playing in tight areas. Not perfect, but there's been a clear improvement in his game. So credit to him. He's clearly done something behind the scenes. Yeah, look, I wouldn't have any qualms with WAN-BISSAKA. I think you're right. And if that, again, all due respect, I rate WAN-BISSAKA higher than Dalot personally. And if you disagree with me, that's completely fine. I can understand your arguments. But if that was Dalot at right back, I think it's a different game. So I look at it that way. So WAN-BISSAKA for 3 points, hell of a shout. Can I say, I think Casemiro deserves points. I thought he came up with some absolutely crucial saves.
Casemiro, it'll come into my discussion for potentially 1 point, but Emad brings a point up here and it goes into my shout for 2 points. City and Liverpool, in the discussion we're having a little bit earlier, City and Liverpool both have conceded goals directly from keeper mistakes. I saw a stat, or not a stat, you went through some of the goals, and sometimes when a goalkeeper makes a mistake for another club, it doesn't go down as a goalkeeper mistake that leads to that goal. But like 9 times out of 10, if a shot goes in against David De Gea, it's classed as a goalkeeping error. And I just think he's very harshly treated in regards to some of those stats and what's considered a mistake from another goalkeeper compared to what and that is obviously Manchester United and the I don't want to say agenda, but agenda against De Gea at times. So he's unfortunately treated a little bit harshly there. But in my opinion, David De Gea ultimately haven't won, so they're not match-winning saves. But if it wasn't for the penalty, it would have been, or if that penalty didn't go in earlier on in the match, if David De Gea wasn't making those saves, I think it's 2 or 3-0 to Brighton.
Yeah. No, De Gea was awesome today. He really was. And he does his job. He saves so many shots time and time again. David De Gea deserves points. I think the 3-2-1s are really straightforward this week. I got to be honest. I think in terms of the three players most influential on the pitch, WAN-BISSAKA, Casemiro, David De Gea. You put him in whatever order you like. But at the end of the day, I think those were heads and above every other player on the pitch. I think Lindelof deserves a notable shout. But I thought, those three. And again, Luke Shaw, if it wasn't for the bet, just he is the sole culprit for the penalty. And just for that reason, I can't give him points.
Yeah, it's a match-losing contribution. So, look, I do agree. I'll go WAN-BISSAKA for 3 points, David De Gea for 2. Again, not match-winning, but obviously a very good performance, especially in the goalkeeping department. A few people talking about the ball playing, but I agree with Casemiro for a point as well. What are you looking in regards to the future? Not the future of this midfield, obviously. Can you sign a Frankie de Jong or sign a new midfielder, and that changes the dynamic? But all roads lead to an FA Cup final. Obviously, we do have to cross this hurdle and get in the top 4, of course. But in my opinion, or in my mind, I'm definitely looking, how can we win this FA Cup final? So I'm looking at Manchester City's fixtures. Okay, which player can get injured in this game? Which player can be suspended for this game? I'm starting to look at the yellow cards. I'm starting to look at when the Champions League final is and sort of who's going to be rested for that sort of thing. So that midfield 3 against Manchester City, just your thoughts. Okay, Casemiro picks himself at the base. Bruno Fernandes is going to play. Then you're going to look at that number 8 position.
On the right against Man City, But I don't think Ten Hag has the luxury of. I don't think Ten Hag will think that way. He needs to secure top 4, so he'll choose his best team every game until then. No
doubt he'll do that. But in regards to us as fans looking at Manchester City, in terms of our midfield, in terms of its strengths and weaknesses, in terms of Manchester City only have strengths, how do you sort of line up that midfield at the moment?
I think you need to put players in your team who are capable of keeping the ball. And I think you need to get players who can help United on the transition. Against Manchester City, United's best strength or best asset is pacing behind. Simple as that. So you need to set up in a way that allows the likes of Martial and Rashford to get in behind. I think those two must start. So with that being said, I think you look to bring Anthony off the bench. I think you're looking for a spark if you can stay competitive in the match. But I think Bruno, you'll find, will start on the right. And I think the midfield 3 that game will probably be Casemiro, Eriksen, and Sabitzer.
What's the point? Box brings up here. Yeah, Rashford out wide with Bruno Fernandes out wide with Rashford, with that midfield 3, Casemiro, Eriksen, and Sabitzer. I completely agree. I don't know. My opinion will change 10 times before the match, and it'll definitely change come match day.
If McTominay could find a way to get himself fit, I wouldn't be against swapping him for Eriksen. I wouldn't, because I think, at least to start the game, because I just think you need to have a solid base in the middle there. They just dominate the ball so well. And Eriksen, for as brilliant as he is on the ball, against Man City, will be found out defensively. I think they'd absolutely look to target him there. So I think United, when they verse City, need to think, let's not concede for 70 minutes and nip a late one. I think that has to be
I definitely think one of McTominay or Fred, if either of them are fit now, obviously my bias would lean towards McTominay, but just in regards to one or the other, I think Eric Ten Hag, both are available. They'll both be up for selection in regards to next to Casemiro. In regards to, as you say, that job to keep us in the game. And let's see, you don't want to say kick and hope. Our hope against Manchester City will be Rashford in behind Kyle Walker. That'll be the hope. Okay. And even in the first game, Manchester City were brilliant. Obviously the first game they smashed 6 passes, but in the match we won at Old Trafford, Manchester City were brilliant, and we were literally just getting the ball. As great a moment as it was for us, we were literally just getting the ball. Bruno, kick it as far as you can to Marcus Rashford. See if Manchester City make a mistake.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the first goal we scored in that game,
it was clearly offside. Yeah, clearly offside, and then Manchester City were brilliant on that. How we won that, looking back at it, and obviously what a moment it was for us fans, the players, and Eric Ten Hag. But Manchester City are unfortunately in a league of their own. Obviously starting to sort of stride away in a title race, which brings it up its own sort of concerns and dilemmas for Man United fans. But just your latest feelings in and around, I don't know where you want to start the discussion, them winning 3 titles in a row or the 3 titles, unfortunately, in a season.
Well, at least, I don't know. I got nothing. They're a good team, man. What can I say? Credit where it's due. If they pull it off, hell of a football side. I mean,
I just don't see how they don't do it.
Yeah,
I don't see how they don't do it.
I've got to be honest. I think they're going to slap us in the final. I really do.
Oh no! Look, unfortunately, very likely
it is
on
at the moment. We're leggy. Yeah. We're waiting for the end of the season. You can see it, and that concerns you. Like they look the other way. They look like they've been rejuvenated by something. Maybe Pep's got them on some peptides or something. But no, in all seriousness, they've hit a new gear and they look up for it. United. It's funny at the earlier part of the season, United were making comebacks in the second half. Now, if we're not ahead by half time, you're not giving us a hope because we're tired.
This debate here from Box, and look, I would side it in a public debate. I would side with it on Twitter in regards to defending Manchester United, but this is a completely different podcast, completely different topic. We could set aside an hour to have this discussion, just in football in general. No bias here, but quality of football in the Premier League Champions League was higher in 99 than 2023. I can fully see where that argument is from. Ultimately, any sport, football evolves. The football's far better now. We don't like to admit that. It's far better. It's far more technical. It's far faster. These players now would absolutely smash the players in 99. That's natural.
Better. I think it was more competitive in 99. Yeah. Thus why
but then you also get in the... But then you also... And I don't know which is the answer, but in that competitive debate, let's just take the Premier League. What's a more competitive league? A team who gets 100 points, 101 points, or a team at the bottom of the table... Sort of, does that show higher quality if a team gets that amount of points?
Yeah,
But shouldn't it be a more competitive league if the team in 20th is taking points off the team coming first? Isn't that more competitive?
That's the one I'm agreeing with. Yeah. So, at the moment, what you're seeing is the top sides are taking more points from the sides at the bottom. Whereas if you look at 99, United won the league on 79 points.
But is that because those top teams are far more of a higher quality? Like they're just that far
ahead? I think the quality of the bottom teams is less. It's a bit of both.
But we want to buy those players at the bottom for 50, 60 million. Like that's how good they are at the bottom.
Because they're coming fresh into the championship, like from the championship into the Premier League. But this is the point I'll make to you. If you look at Manchester City's squad when everyone's fully fit, you could put 2 strong starting 11s out. United in 99 couldn't do that. I think you could rotate a good chunk of those players and still have a very strong team. But you're not
putting out who's bottom of the league? Southampton. The young midfielder they used to have at Manchester City. Who's a Southampton midfielder? Starts with L. I've had a mind blank. Everyone's raving about him. Someone will know in the chat. And James Ward-Press, if we wanted to buy the 2 midfielders from Southampton, that'd cost 60 cents. And obviously, if they go down and the contract situation will change. But if we wanted to buy them, we'd buy them for 60, 70 million. That's what Manchester United would be charged. I'm just thinking, that's good quality at the bottom of the league.
Yeah, but I think if you have 1 or 2 good players in a team coming 20th, you can still get relegated. Like the basis of your squad needs to be strong. And I also think, I mean, Tom, I got a perfect example for you. If you think of the 90s and early 2000s, even up to 2010, think of how many top strikers there were just in the Premier League. Name 10 top strikers in world football right now. They're just not around. There's not many. You don't have many top goal scorers anymore. There's not many players who score 20 plus goals a season.
Yeah.
So I think the fact is you're seeing more goals now, but you're not seeing more top quality strikers. And the thing is that I remember when United lost, I think who was it against? It was in the 11-12 season, I want to say. I think the Raphael twins played in midfield. United lost 3-2. I want to say it was against Watford or Wolves, someone like that.
The New Year's game?
It was during Boxing. I think it was a Boxing Day game, and there was a striker. Started his African player. Started with a Y. He scored 16 goals. Hey,
Yakubu.
He scored 16 goals.
Blackburn. That was the day this club changed.
He scored 16 goals that season. Blackburn was shit. He scored 16 goals that season. All right, but do you see my point? You had a striker who could score 16 goals in the Premier League, who was a side getting relegated. That was the difference. Now you go to the bottom sides, their strikers aren't even on 7 goals. Yeah. So my point is that the quality of strikers and the quality of the squads has dropped between the top sides and the bottom sides.
Well, look, it's a debate. You could have a football debate. Maybe we'll have it in the off-season in regards to it is interesting.
Fox makes a good point as well. The standard of centre-backs as well. Again, the standard of centre-backs has dropped off.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. But then, again, I completely agree. But then you could maybe swing an argument to say, well, because of the better football in the midfield, in terms of that sort of outweighing strengths and sort of exposing sort of weaknesses that would have exposed the other centre-backs or something like that. So it is an interesting debate. I'm sure we'll have many of those in the off season. But before that, before the off season, all the transfer market stuff and ownership, we do have plenty more football to discuss. It's got West Ham. I believe it's 4 a.m. on Monday morning, which is a beautiful thing as a Man United fan here in Sydney. But we definitely will be here with the previews, reviews, etc. So make sure you do hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you do know when we go live. Do appreciate everyone joining us today. Hit a like on your way out. We very much appreciate it to cheer us up after today's disappointing defeat. And Larry, I would say go and enjoy your Friday and weekend, but Man United fans aren't in the position to do that this week.
Oh, that's a downer, Tom. It's all right. We'll turn it around against West Ham. I hope everyone has a great weekend and don't listen to Tom's negativity.
Not in that green kit, we won't. Fingers crossed we wear the white kit. But until then, have a good one, and we'll chat to you soon. Cheers.
Cheers.